Okay, greetings everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. And we're going to talk about some international mail and some correspondence to get some resolution. I came across a Postal Form 6387, and I did a video on it and everything here recently. You can go back and check that out. And what we're doing here tonight is going over some information because I did, in fact, send a notice out to the Postal Board of Governors and the Postal Regulatory Commission, and haven't gotten a response yet. That was done through electronic email, and it should have had a response within the 4 days, and it hasn't. So I'm getting ready to give them another notice. And in my research, I found out that there's a particular number that we can call to get some expedient firsthand support and collaboration in the communications, as we discussed in the copyright of the EPU and the Treaty of Berne and its or the Constitution of the UPU and its preamble. So that's what we're talking about here tonight, is the communication process. And before we get started, I want to remind everybody to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. I do have a new PayPal link for people that do not have a PayPal account. So there's one down there that's got the FBU, and the other one is a business account. The FBU is for those that do have a PayPal account. The other one that says business is for those that have a regular credit card or something. I've also got a Cash App I'm working on. I signed up for it, and they started sending me notices right away, but it's not my name and certainly not my account. So there's something wrong there, and we're still trying to figure that out with Cash App. Other than that, I do appreciate all the support, so please hit all those buttons. If you're on Hecklebus, get over to El Perro, hit them buttons, and likewise, if you're on El Perro, get over to Hecklebus, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And I want to welcome everybody, Norman Longstaff, JLV, Bohydrus, greetings everybody. And again, if you're on Facebook and you want to be part of the StreamYard link is pinned to the chat on YouTube. So you have to get over to one of my YouTube channels, and everybody's welcome to come up and hit that StreamYard link to join the panel. In the meantime, we're going to get started. Looks like I froze up. Sorry about that, guys. But I'm back, and we are getting ready to get on this. I believe this is the one I want. Yes. This is, it's called Publication 223, and this is a revision, directives and forms update. And if you remember, I always talk about 50 USC 4305, giving a directive for full acquittance and discharge in the interest of the United States and for the person making the same, so that no person shall be held liable in any court. And that's your principal directive. It sounds just like a peace treaty or an amnesty. It's basically what it is. And like we talked about last night with the peace treaties and everything, that's what your contracts are. That's what your charters are. That's what your licenses are. They're basic treaties. Effective March 26th, 2020, publication 223. Let me get it full screen here. Hopefully that's better for everybody. 2020 Publication 223, Directives and Forms Catalog, is revised to include current information for the items noted in this article. See Chapter 1 of Publication 223 for information on how to order directives and forms. Okay. This first one, these are the new ones, and then these are the ones that were revised. And this one here is Management Information Field Manual. Expenses for internal and external events. Internal and external would be the same as foreign and domestic, or domestic and foreign. So let's take a look at the first term on that PS Form 6387, which is rural. Rural money order transaction application. Rural as an adjective, early 15th century, of persons living in the countryside. From Old French rural, 14th century, from Latin ruralis, of the countryside. From Rus, genitive rurus, open land. We talk about the land patents. Open is open and observable. Observable being patent, and unobservable being latent. Latent, underlying, patent, overlying, open, on top. Country as opposed to state. To open. Space, see room. In early examples, there is usually little or no difference between the meaning of rural and rustic. But in later use, the modern time, the tendency is to employ rural when the idea of locality, country scenes, etc. is prominent, and rustic when there is a suggestion of the more primitive qualities. In other words, the older times instead of the modern times, or manners naturally attaching to country life. By 1510s, as characteristic of country life generally, rustic. Extended senses in 15th century included lowly, unlearned, uncouth, unpretentious, unpolished. The overall sense of characteristic of the country as opposed to the town. And remember, the towns are the corporate chartered areas. And then you have the urban areas, which is the area between the town and the rural, is by 1580s. As a noun, a country person, a peasant. Mid-15th century related, rurally, ruralism, rurality. Wordsworth uses ruralize, give a rural character to. Give a rural character to. Does that sound like a foreign person given to you as a gift and then used against you? But ruralization was used from 1859 of persons in the sense of going into the country. Again, in the country, living in the countryside. So not in the city, not in the state, not in the fiction. The next one is Postal Service tax reporting responsibilities, event mementos. I remember a few days back I mentioned adopting the tax treaty between the Postal Service and somebody else. Can't remember who it was. But I adopted that as a matter of taking under that tax protection, the same as they are, quid quo pro, equal protection, equal consideration. Again, where no person should be held liable in any court. And then verifying payment card industry. Did you know that Social Security card is a payment card? And it's regarding the compliance for the service provider engagement, which was the Social Security for the insurance plan. And again, I tell you, everybody wants to follow money. I'm telling you to follow the money that goes to the insurance. That's the biggest collection there is. Observation of driving practices. And it says for tractors only, but the importance is that even driving is a practice. And that's why you need a license. Just like to practice medicine, you need a license. To practice law, you need a license. TICE. That's a temptation. That's a test. Keep testing. I suggest you do it in private, though. Let me double check the board here and make sure that we got everybody going on here. Velvet pin greetings. Yes. Any payment, conveyance, transfer, assignment, or delivery of property or interest therein made to or for the account of the United States or as otherwise directed. It is a directive, and you get to give a directive. No matter how they say it, you get to give the directive just as well as they do. Okay? So let's go on to the next one. Notices. Included are briefs, instructions, ID stickers, promotional material, safety and energy messages, and other information. And it's got their Postal Service identification number. That's a PSIN. Edition date, title, size, stock, unit of issue, organized where or how. USPS source, public source. And it goes down and tells you about all the different forms they've got, right? Or notices. These are notices. First one I want you to pay attention to is this right here. Portable lockbox unit. And this is why they have the search and seizure laws. And I keep telling people the Postal Service is the one in charge of the seizure laws. Again, it's a judicial determination that they have to require what they're acquiring before they can inquire. Okay? It has to be required before they can inquire to acquire it. So that glove box in your car, it's a box by itself, a unit within the car, and it has a lock on it, and it's portable. Where do you put your title? Where do they tell you to put your title? These are questions I ask all the time, but nobody wants to pay attention. Let's see here. Time conversion table. Are they paying you for your time? Post office box service fee due. Watch this. No fee, post office box. No fee, post office box. Did you know you can get a no fee post office box? Might want to inquire about those. Management instructions for mail delivery to a central point. 50 USC directive, instruction, whatever. There are various terms that mean the same thing. And you can give them instructions on how to do it by pointing out their own codes and laws and stuff. Privacy Act notice, human resources forms. Now, again, when you look at the Postal Service Reform Act of 2022, you see that most of it, 90%, if not more, is all about the Medicare and Medicaid insurances. And this is the human resource. You're the one that applies for it through the SS5. Your mom and dad are the ones that establish the account through the enumeration at birth, which is a false establishment of a resident that cannot be possible. Again, in order for them to acquire something, they first must require it. And in requiring it, before they can acquire it, they have to inquire. Okay? That whole process is wrong. That resident has to be deemed necessary, so it has to be a requirement. If there is no requirement that exists, then the process that's due is false. Privacy Act notice, investigative and verification forms. Remember, I told you how that informant on the enumeration at that statement, hospital statement of live birth, certificate of live birth, and they put mom down as an informant. That means there's an investigation, and that means it's an investigative form. It's certainly deceptive, isn't it? They hand that to you, to your mom, when she's in a spell of illness, which is literally defined in their code again as an inpatient hospital services beginning on the first day, not including a previous spell of illness. And then when the baby is born, that's a separate first day of a separate person. And again, that person is the enumeration of the prenatal record that says a man was born or a man was birthed, whereas the living soul was born and the man was discharged of the mother's waters, and that enumeration event happened, and it shouldn't have. What should have happened is mom and dad should have heralded the legacy heir arriving in this world to profit the word of our Father in heaven. Some form like that to let them know that that is not what they deem a homunculus. Privacy Act, OWCP forms, bombs by mail, evidently expanded vehicle safety check, alternative mail security installations. I believe this is in regards to their private mailing stations that people can establish as a business. Customer reassurance notice. Reassurance and not reinsurance. Insurance and reinsurance is not the same as reassurance. Media mail service. Domestic claims customer quick reference guide. Domestic claims. This is not a domestic claim. This is an international mail instructions to initiate an inquiry. Okay. And we'll take a look at that here. But the next one I want to look at, let me see here. Okay, the next one I want to look at, make sure everybody can see it. Directives and forms. So here's their directives. Okay. Purpose. Synonymous with intent. This catalog lists all National Postal Service directives and forms. Now, what I want to mention here is that when I went down to this post office, none of these people knew what this form was. Had no idea what this form was. PS Form 6387, as well as government forms and documents used by the Postal Service. This would be GSA forms directly related to federal government means all entities of the United States, including the United States Postal Service and the Postal Regulatory Commission. In other words, you have to be organized under the laws of the United States in order to be an entity, a commercial entity, running a business, and that is 12 U.S.C. 614, where you have to have a contract. You have to give the notice and organizational forms and structure of your business and everything to the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. That's who you're, in fact, contracting with for the administration under a central bank, rather than conducting your own affairs according to your own value system without need of a cooperative, socialistic bank. The banking system is tontine banking, and its basic concept in tontine banking is a socialist system where one entity owns everything and you will like it. This is a complete revision of a March 2023 edition. Notice this is June 2023. This is July 13th, 2023. Revision appear regularly in the Postal Bulletin under Directives and Forms Updates. This issue contains all of the revisions published in the Postal Bulletin through July 13th, 2023, as of 5 days ago. The day before I went down and did this, tried to establish this postal money or this money order. Directives and Forms Management. The policies and procedures for originating, developing, revising, and managing policy and procedure documents are contained in Management Instruction MIAS 310 2013 6, Management of Policy and Procedure Information. Questions and comments. Originating organizations. Originating organizations are responsible for notifying the Brand and Policy Office. Tell me it's not about trademarks and copyrights. Tell me that stamp isn't proprietary material, a postal product that is protected under the Treaty of Berne, literal and artistic works. Tell me you don't have the exact same power to do the exact same thing when documents are out of date or superseded. How do their documents become superseded? If you want equity, you must first bring equity. Anytime you find an error, omission, or a miscomprehension, mistakes, whatever, you correct them if you can. If they are impossible to be corrected, you inform them of such, and they got rid of them for that impossibility. If you find obsolete directives or forms listed in this catalog, or would like to make suggestions and comments about this catalog, please contact Publication 223 Editor, U.S. Postal Service, 475 La Effente. Were you born in the infantry? Did that English language in its all colorful expertise twist your mind in that spell of illness to have you believe that you are an infant and not an infant? One post shall run to another post, messenger to messenger, and shew unto the king of Babylon that the city is fallen at the other end. This publication is effective June 2023. Tanya Lyle, Manager, Brand and Policy, Corporate Communications. And all these links are down below, folks. All these links are down below, and the StreamYard link is pinned for anybody that wants to join the panel. I'd like to remind everybody, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And if you're on El Perro, get over to Hecklebus and do the same. And likewise, if you're on Hecklebus, get over to El Perro and hit those buttons. Greetings, Sam Gold, Look Within, Will Carstairs, Austin Murphy. Greetings, everybody. And yes, the hospitals are known as foundling hospitals. Let's see here. Canon law trumps corporate legal charter. Most definitely. It's ecclesiastical in nature. And that's why you, again, if you want equity, you got to bring equity. And when it comes to the ecclesiastical side, we're talking about the spiritual side. This is their military form is based on merits and demerits. And that merit, that term merit, when you look it up in etymology, it literally means spiritual credit. In other words, the credence of the spirit. The spirit is always true to the man. You will always tell what kind of a man they are by their spirit. And you can tell their spirit by their actions. Are they vile and bad? Do they go around kicking people, calling each other names, this and that? How bad is it? Not everybody that calls somebody a name is actually evil. It's just not perfected. And nobody's perfect. So we have to be aware of the different levels that we try to judge people. I try to make sure that I judge just the words they use and determine their actions for who they truly are. Let's get back to it. The next one. 4 international documents listed by Postal Service identification number that I pointed out to you before. International mail is mail that originates. Remember the originating organization. International mail is mail that originates in the United States as opposed to in the countryside for delivery in a foreign country. See where we're going? It doesn't matter whether you're in the United States or not. Everything is foreign because the United States is, in fact, in a fiction, and the United States is located in Washington, D.C., and in Washington, D.C., you have no statehood. It is a corporate charter only, and that corporate charter, that company, that corporation, that entity leases that property from the United States of America, the federal government on the republic side. For delivery of in a foreign country or mail that is addressed for delivery in the United States. And that's what the zip code is. That's that special maritime territorial jurisdiction. It's a zoning improvement plan for the foreign trade zones that they grant outside of the United States to trade for the United States. As a United States citizen that has moved out of the United States and is now residing in one of the several states. You see the impossibility? That originated in a foreign country. They all originate in a foreign country because the United States is in fact not a country. It is in fact not even a state. Member countries of the Universal Postal Union have agreed to use certain documents in the processing and delivering of mail. In conjunction with that agreement, the Postal Service uses both directives and forms to help process and deliver international mail. The following table is a listing of the Postal Service documents that pertain to the international mail. These documents are listed by their Postal Service identification number, and the UPU identifier, if applicable, is also included. International Exchange Office procedures. If I'm going to deposit $1.10 in coin, there is an exchange because I give him coin, and since that coin has a certain value by weights and measures, if I give them a special directive that upon deposit in his nice financial institution as an international exchange office, he is to exchange that 50 or that $1.10 in coin upon that special deposit for credit, because that's the only thing that can be extended in the electronic form. See their problem now? Extended. If you are going to tender and you're external, then it's an extended charge. Exchange. Language is specific. Law is specific. Mailing standards of the United States Postal Service International Mail Manual. This isn't the domestic mail manual. This is the International Mail Manual issue. And this is what they have to follow internationally. Postal rates and fees, Mexico money order service. Highway transportation contract, bid or renewal worksheet. All of those contracts are related to the Postal Service. They are the contractor for everything. The insurance, the medical, the hospitals, everything that address is attached to. The Postal Service is the one that holds the real estate investment trust to make sure all of those titles are neat and perfect. And I guarantee you, 98% of them are not. They fail the observance on the face to have the actual capital transfer stamp on it, proving that the taxes were, in fact, duly paid by stamp. Without that, it is evidence that they have not been paid. On the face. Summary of mail handling irregularities. Just because it's not regular and you're not familiar with the form doesn't mean you just say, oh, well, that ain't happening. You will do your fucking job. And it's not because I tell you, it's because it's written down, and as it is written, so shall it be. You took upon the job, and just because you didn't read it doesn't mean it's not there. It is there, and somebody up the line from you will be calling you. Request for further information on international mail. International transit mail. No dispatch. Article 1 of the Constitution of the Universal Postal Union guarantees freedom of the transit throughout the entire territory of the Union. Freedom of transit is guaranteed throughout the entire territory of the Union. Now, this being the Postal Union, you remember it's the Constitution of the United States that starts out to form a more perfect union. Do you hear me now? Do you hear the very simple words that are being spoken? Perfect title, to form a more perfect union, directives and forms management, instructions concerning international claims. Second request concerning international claims. Instructions concerning international claims, New York. Return receipt for international mail. That's that red registered label you see. That's why it's so important. You're buying right into the Postal Service Real Estate Investment Trust. That is the insurance that you purchase just by using the label, and it doesn't cost you a dime. Notice it's red with its barcode and its number. That's artistically saying that it's prepaid. And that's why you get a postal product for free. It's prepaid. Export shipper international exchange office dock mail receipt. Dock mail. Are you on the administrative dock or the judicial dock? Let's see what else. Dispatch record, foreign transit closed mail. Now the other one was the what was it? No dispatch. No dispatch is open. This is foreign transit closed mail. Open means public. Closed means private. So you got private transit and public transit. International transit mail, no dispatch. What's dispatch? When they require one of their stamps and you dispatch it. A stamp is the same thing as a patch, a symbol, a flag, a business card, a social security card. Importers' objections. I'm not importing, so I'm not going to object as an importer. Register of uncollected customs charges. I'd like to see that. Military mail. Everything through this postal service, since everything that is being done through the postal service, and that post office is an inland marine installation, is deemed to be military mail unless specifically determined otherwise, and that would be your diplomatic mail. Then you got special list, but it says registered items. I would check that out, but not right now. Receipt for customs duty mail. Notice international mail irregularity. Load record outbound. That's for weight. That's for that is for stowaways on ships and stuff like that. They have a certain weight, but if the weight isn't met and there's enough room for a stowaway, and you find a stowaway, there's no need for emergency landing because you're overweight. So they don't load them to full weight. Inventory record. Invent orally. Somebody spoke it into existence. They said, yeah, I need, let's see, 2 tomatoes, a white onion, 3 russet potatoes, a stalk of celery, 4 cloves of chives, 4 cloves of garlic. And that's, you're speaking into existence a recording. You vocally or you orally spoke it with your vocal cords, and somebody recorded it by writing it down, whether you did that or whatever. It's called an inventory. Remember, comments are inventions, fabrications, and fictions. Statement of mail movement. Parcel bill, letter bill exchange of mail. Letter bill. Customs declaration, CN 22, sender's declaration. There we go. Remember, it's a promise if it's a note. So you don't want to use a note, but you can give a sender's declaration. So we'll look that one up here later on. Maybe I'll do another video on that one. Seems interesting. Well, let's get on to the next one. Anyway, like I said, these links are down there. You just need to go through here and start learning your way through this. Delivery bill, way bill. All kinds, Global Express mail service, air parcel, international direct entry statement. Huh. I have to check that one out too. Some interesting ones in here. And yes, this is my first time going through this information. So you guys are getting it with me. There's another international direct entry service. So definitely a list I'll be going through again. The next one, and before I get on to it, let's double check the room. Perky Pegasus, Dark Matter. Greetings, everybody. Look Within, Will Carstairs, Sam Gold, JLV, Moon Peach, Bohydrus, Velvet Pin. Greetings, Norman Longstaff. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, folks. And if you're on Hecklebus, get over to El Perro and do the same. And likewise, if you're on El Perro, get over to Hecklebus and do the same. There is a PayPal button in there. Let me, it's in the details section down below. There's both the PayPal for the Facebook Union, which is the one for people that do have a PayPal link. Anybody else that doesn't have a PayPal link or doesn't have a PayPal account, there's a new donation link at the bottom of the details section. So anybody can share some love that way. And let's get back into it. Management instructions. Now, this doesn't say what a lot of people think it says. It's not just instructions that the management has. This is in the public purview, and anybody that can comprehend these and find, like it mentioned earlier, where was it? If you find where was it? If you find obsolete directives or forms listed in this catalog, or would like to make suggestions and comments about this catalog, please comment or contact. So in here it says management instructions are short, permanent instructions that provide specialized technical material directed to specific groups or employees. So if I find a document that I think I interpret one way and they're not accepting of it, I've got to be able to communicate with somebody to give them instructions according to the way the grammar is in, on, and for that document. They can't just say, well, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to research it. They have a duty to research and collaborate and communicate with the people of the world. That is in the preamble of the Constitution of the Universal Postal Union. One of the very first things they state. Postal Service Headquarters Access Control System. Advertising and Media Planning Policy and Guidelines. That Form 6387 is an advertisement. It is in the public venue advertising that they are offering a conversion according to the way I read it. And I don't think anybody can defeat it. It says right on there, rural on the top. And that's United States Postal Service as a registered agent. The post office as a trademark holder means they're the ones that granted the use of the title that they hold. Okay. And in the bottom part, it converts it to domestic, saying it's internal. So they're taking it from the external and they're supposed to exchange it through their international exchange to its foreign equivalent. Request to conduct research at the Postal Service. You have the power to do this stuff, people. Computer matching programs. This is what they're getting ready to move into with the data blockchaining and all that. This is what everybody's worried about, correcting the status before a certain date. No. You just have to know what's going to match in this computer system. And one of the easiest ways to do it, as I found, is to design your own private site, non-commercial, and the cybersecurity does most of the work for you. I don't have spyware. I don't have any antivirus programs. Never have. Never have. All my information goes to one of the very first email sites, Yahoo. And every time they get an update, they're the first ones to get it because they are one of the first companies that were involved in developing the internet cybersecurity through their own programming. It's where I keep most of all of my data free online. Policy and guidelines for preventative maintenance and building systems and equipment. It's their system. So their preventative maintenance and everything is already there. Postal space serving military bases. The post offices are known to be inland marine installations, needful places and buildings along postal roads for commercial activities, granted duties, taxes, and imposed by Congress. Security counterlines. Whole litany of all of these different things that are just amazing. Signature and certification requirement for environmental documents. This is the Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship certificates that they have to provide for any kind of outposts that carry those scales. Federal standard requisitioning and issue procedures. Requisitioning for the acquisitions by inquisitions. Again, they have to require something first before they can acquire it. And before they can acquire it, they have to inquire as to its availability. Administrative policies for use and management of geographic information systems technology, the very World Wide Web itself, assessment and authorization continuous monitoring. Go ahead and monitor it. I need you to monitor it. I need you to protect this private entity from all you public fiends. Protection of information at rest. Unique language. Unique language. What do you think? Love it. Love it. When the proofs of facts are present, what need is there for words? Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, let's get back into it. Let's get to the next one. Manuals. Manuals versus spirituals contain the basic policy information for the Postal Service. Administrative support manual. So, where are they getting their administrative support? If they're the administrator, they must be getting it from upline, the grantor of that position. Mailing standards of the United States Postal Service domestic mail manual. That's as opposed to the international mail manual issue that was earlier. This is the domestic mail manual issue. Employee labor relations manual. Financial management manual. There's the ISU 423. So they revised both of these, all three of these, the Administrative Support Manual, the Mailing Standards of the United States Postal Service Domestic Mail Manual, and the Customer's Guide Mailing Manual, DMM. This is what most people end up looking up, and you should be looking up all of them. Postal Operations Manual, operations being specific to the Admiralty side. That is the military side. We see 32 CFR 1604.2, area office. An area office is the selective service responsible for operations and administrations of of the jurisdictions within the local board or whatever, something like that. I'll have to get that one down. But it's 32 CFR 1604.2, area office. Tells us the selective service is responsible for all operations and administrations in the area of the local board. The next one is the management instruction. And again, notice this is United States Postal Service with that little registered R up there. And this is June 26th of 2013. This is the procedure information. This management instruction provides guidelines for developing and distributing electronic and paper documents that contain policy and procedure, regulations, instructions, and implementation guidelines and forms. These guidelines are critical to anyone involved in developing business policies, procedures, and forms. Critical to anyone involved in developing business policies, procedures, and forms. And if they're offering a form out to the public that has a conversion on it from a solid form because they only use a $sign, and you have the ability to put your conditions on it, and therefore $1.10 in coin to be exchanged through the proper conversion for the extension of credits. And you get to name your price on both sides. They named the price on the one side, and they said anywhere from 0.01 cent up to $500. So you can make that part of the conversion anything you want. That's where the conversion happens. And if they don't comprehend that, that's on them. But again, it's also on me. If I've got to explain it to them, I've got to get them to comprehend it some way or another. And again, this is one of the impossibilities of dealing with people that have been indoctrinated so deeply, is that I can explain it to you, but I cannot comprehend it for you. This is simple stuff, but people are indoctrinated so much they don't believe it. Well, that can't be right. That just doesn't make sense. Of course it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that everything's prepaid either. So why should I give $1.10? Shouldn't I just be able to give the number in lieu of the name and address? No, because supposedly I'm buying something. So if I'm buying something, what am I buying? Well, I'm buying a product of the Postal Service. It's called a form. I'm buying the form. I'm buying the opportunity for $1.10 in coin to place my conditions on it and give it back to them and have them stand in honor of extending the credits as obligated under my directive, where no person shall be held liable in any court pursuant to the interests of the United States, who is liable for all debts, public and private. Everything circles back. So let's look at the last one. The whole purpose of this entire charade with this PS form 6387, and nobody in the Postal Service having known anything about it and thinking that what I'm posing is false, but it states it right on the face of the document. Okay. You can initiate inquiries for Global Express Guaranteed, Priority Mail Express International, Priority Mail International Parcels, and registered mail items. United States Postal Service is the registered agent. So all mail items are registered. All mail items are registered. Being registered already means they are pledged. That means they are offered. That means that Postal Form 6387 as a product of the Postal Service is an offer that I can accept, make better or make good, and give it back. And if it's made good or made better, you would think they would accept it in honor. The problem is these idiots do not understand that if I give them $1.10 in coin and then pose another whatever odd amount to fulfill the total dollar amount of the $1.10 plus however much I want paid for that bill or whatever they're trying to make me pay, $98.83 plus $1.10 comes to $99.93. That's not the total that I'm supposed to pay. It says right on the instrument that it's $1.10 to convert to up to $500. Then it says pay the carrier that amount. The terms on the instrument are the payment. Payment. The mentality, the thought of your payment. It is not the process of them taking all of the money that they say you owe, because that is in fact creating a debt against the United States. That's why you have to give a directive in the interest of the United States to prevent any debts. So it says, the Postal Service does not accept inquiries for ordinary letters, first-class package international service parcels, priority mail international flat rate envelopes, priority mail international small flat rate price boxes, or M bags. Great, because PS Form 6387 is not in there, so you do accept inquiries for that. To initiate inquiries for undelivered or damaged articles, call the International Research Group at 800-222-1811. Now, undelivered or damaged articles, as far as I know, I gave them, according to the instructions on that money order, exactly what I was supposed to give them, and they refused it. They would not deliver it. So I should be able to call this number about an undelivered rural money order transaction application. The carrier is supposed to give it to the postmaster. That did not happen. The lady at the office, when I tried to inquire about it, said that ain't going to happen. So the lady at the local office is the one that's actually denying it. So I have to go above her head. So, goes on to say, if an inquirer determines that a package is lost, the Postal Service will send a claim packet to the U.S. sender with instructions on how to file a claim. You may also initiate an international inquiry online through the international claims at Hotmail. If you are a U.S. sender and are already a USPS.com registered account holder. Now, I do have a registered account with the Enterprise Payment System online through the post office. Or if you create a USPS.com account at the beginning of the inquiry process. So I can go here, or I can call them and give them my mid and crid numbers. And they should understand that, hey, something's serious wrong here. If you receive an international package that is damaged or has missing contents, the lady is missing a few nuggets and marbles in her head, you may file a claim immediately, but no later than 60 days from the date of mailing, and you must present the article, container, or packaging and all contents to a local post office. I already did. They refused it. Payments for international claims may be payable only to the mailer, regardless of destination country, unless the mailer signs a waiver of rights to payment. To obtain the status of a file claim, contact the accounting help desk. So once you establish it, then you can keep up to date with it. Imagine it would be the same thing with the international claim online. So, having said that, remember 22 CFR 93.1, diplomatic channels of notice. Diplomatic channels of notice, they're not using in any case. That's the violation. They're using the Postal Service itself and claiming you are, in fact, the agent. And that's because you've got minimum state contacts. You're the one that fills out all the applications, registrations, and all that. You got to quit doing that. You got to quit. You got to teach the younger generations to quit doing that. Got to find a better way to use these forms and stuff. And like I said, 19 CFR 149.3 data elements allows that if you're a buyer or seller, or if you're just the shipped party, the one that's receiving it, the beneficiary or the benefactor, the one that the property was granted to for your use and possession, then all you got to do is give a number in lieu of the name and address. I encourage people to learn how to do that because you're really not organized to be using that name and address in the fashion of that real estate investment trust and being able to make those claims of violations unless you know all of this. So it's easier just to learn the one code and ask them, well, if I'm buying, I'm allowed to give a number in lieu of the name and address and start pushing that. If you're allowed to give a number in lieu of a name and address, then are you required to have an ID so they can have a name and address? Because that's the only person you have only reason you have an ID for is if you so that they can have an address to locate someone. Well, if you're known as simply a peaceful person, a peaceful man that was born on this land, and you really have no offense, goodness gracious, what is the requirement for an ID? Again, if you're allowed to give the number in lieu of the name and address, so you don't give the name and address, but then you turn around and sign it, then you just gave the name, right? So again, it says you're allowed to give a number in lieu of the name and address, and that's qualified as a number in lieu of the name and address, and it does not state anywhere else that you have to support that number with a signature. And then it even clarifies even further, UCC 3-402, the authorized representative giving an unambiguous signature on the instrument is therefore not liable for the person named in the instrument. So again, another perfect reason why you really don't need to give a signature, because you're not liable anyway. So think about this stuff, folks. And remember, hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons. We'd really appreciate it if you could hit that PayPal button and share some love. Still got the computer issues I'm trying to deal with. Found out today that I can't get this one fixed. I lost all the information on it. I did get the other one fixed, but again, it was a USB B drive for the network adapter, and it's an old refurbished one that's slow as fuck. So I can download the information onto an external drive, but it takes forever. And then I have to switch over to this one to do any kind of videos and stuff because it's so slow it won't handle the videos and keeps shutting me down. So if you could hit that PayPal button, it'd be great. But if not, like I said, hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. Get that information out there. help the algorithms, get more people to the channels so they can get informed on this stuff too, so they can help in this fight. In the meantime, remember, folks, I love you, but I don't give a fuck whether you love me back. So God bless. Have a good night. We'll see you again next time. Bye.